Welcome to Shedding Starlight, your guide to the Kingdom Hearts mythos. This week, we're discussing the replica of Riku that both Riku himself and Sora come across in their individual journeys through Castle Oblivion. While this replica confronts Sora and Riku and what they're striving for, he also has his own struggles.
While this replica confronts Sora and Riku and what they're striving for, he also has his own struggles. Like any classic sentient creation, he's an astounding scientific achievement who strives for purpose, individualism, and love. So let's discuss the Riku replica, whether he's a person or object, if his feelings are real or fake, and his tragic fate.
Let's begin by walking through this replica's short lifespan. He visits Sora and Riku in their individual stories multiple times, so new fans might have trouble keeping track of when he's aware he's a replica and when he's convinced it's the real Riku. The replica was created by Vexen using data from Riku obtained during a fight with him. Unfortunately, Vexen creates this replica off-screen, so we don't know the intricacies of the process. But using that data, the replica resembled Riku in appearance, personality, and he could even access dark form. The replica is then sent to meet and challenge Riku, during which he, the replica, is fully aware that he was recently created.
Don't forget, I'm still new.
Soon after, Axel gives Vexen data of Destiny Islands he collected from Sora. Vexen and Larxene used this to give the replica false memories of Riku's past, completely remaking his personality to have him believe he's actually Riku. This is when the replica meets Sora, misleading him into believing he's really Riku. They meet a few times on different floors of the castle. Between one of the times, the replica swears to Naminé on her charm that he'll stop whatever is hurting her. This charm was originally the Destiny Islands data card that Axel retrieved from Sora, and Naminé was able to transform the card into the lucky charm. The third time the replica meets Sora, they argue about who made a promise to Naminé with that same charm. It seems that just when the replica was about to question what's real, Naminé quickly shoots him another memory that assures him the charm he has is the real one. However, after this encounter, the replica accidentally drops the charm, and it reverts back into the card for Sora to use. Later, Axel lets Naminé go to Sora, but the replica steps in to protect Naminé from him. Their fourth fight. Naminé incapacitates the replica before it could strike Sora down.
I said stop!
Larxene explains to Sora that this isn't the real Riku, but a puppet whose heart Naminé just broke.
Sora later goes to fight Marluxia, leaving Naminé to watch over the replica. Somehow, the replica revives, because when Marluxia took Naminé as leverage, the replica appeared and saved her. At this point, he recognizes he's fake, but he doesn't remember his creation, only the false memories of Sora and Naminé. He leaves seemingly content now that Naminé is safe. We say seemingly because returning finally to Riku's route, Axel convinces the replica that he can become his own person by taking out Zexion. The replica then fights the real Riku at the card world of Twilight Town. Riku never met the replica during the period it thought it was really him, only ever when it knew it was his copy.
I thought by finding some new strength, I could finally be someone who's not at all you! But nothing changes.
So the replica fights one last time to exist as an original, but loses to the original. He lies in a pool of darkness, contemplating his life and where his heart would go when it's over. Only as he fades away does he finally truly accept himself as a replica.
So what is a replica? The closest thing we can compare it to is Pinocchio from the first game, described by Riku as a puppet with a heart. This replica of Riku was somewhat similar, a puppet-esque being that's alive, implied to have a heart of its own. We mentioned that Vexen finished this replica off-screen, so we don't really know how its creation worked. But because Larxene described the replica to Sora as only completed recently, It's possible Vexen already had a base for the replica and only needed Riku's data as the final touch to transform its personality and appearance. The replica is a fantastic example of how memories shape people in the Kingdom Hearts universe. While the completed replica was always snarky like the real Riku, Naminé planting in him memories of herself gave him an attitude of intense loyalty. There's also the danger of having your memories wiped completely, leaving you devoid of any personality or emotion, as Marluxia assumed of the replica.
If Naminé uses her powers to erase your memory, you'll be nothing but an empty shell. Your heart will no longer be able to feel or to care.
Memories in Kingdom Hearts seem to be a key factor in creating someone's personality.
While this replica makes similar use of darkness that Riku does, whether or not Ansem himself is included is unclear. We discussed in our last episode that a part of Ansem still seems to remain within Riku even after he was defeated. So how far into that relationship does the replica copy? Ansem says that the replica is what Riku should strive for. It doesn't fear darkness, it embraces it. Yet, Ansem doesn't seem to have any desire to seek out that replica instead. We never see this replica struggle or embrace any semblance of Ansem within itself. So it's possible that Ansem did not copy over into the replica. But of course, that didn't stop the replica from using darkness for his own means and simply for the thrill of it. When the organization wanted the replica's heart remade into believing it was really Riku, Vexen agreed carefree.
How can you? Are you betraying me?
I told you I would make good use of you, didn't I?
While Vexen doesn't see the replica as a toy or valet, he does see him as only a tool. Vexen doesn't even ponder if the replica has genuine feelings.
But the Riku replica is a seed for what grows throughout the series of Kingdom Hearts. That even a puppet, given memories, given interactions, can develop feelings about itself, its life, and its death. Welcome back, everyone, to this episode of Shedding Starlight. We are at the discussion section of our episode on Replica Riku. I'm here with Mel. Say hello, Mel.
Hello. It's really me and not a replica.
It's not a replica. Neither of us are replicas. We are real. We are here. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to talk about him.
Me too.
In my head, I was like, what are we going to talk about with this fucker? And, here we are.
He's interesting. He's interesting.
Because, we've never... I mean, of course, this is only the second game. Uh-huh. But Kingdom Hearts 1 didn't have anything fucking like this.
No.
Just Pinocchio, and that's it. And even Pinocchio, you could be like, he's just a Disney character. Who give a shit?
Yeah, and it was 2 lines. Riku was I'm going to steal him and study him. And that was it.
Yeah.
And then he gets kidnapped for one world, and we beat up a Heartless, and then we free him. And that was it for Pinocchio's storyline.
It's not like it goes into any depths of explaining him,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we have a long, probably our longest discussion section yet in our doc. So buckle up, everybody. We might be here for a while.
I know, and today of all days when we actually have something we need to do.
I know. Well,
who cares? Okay, so when writing this presentation, the game refers to this replica as a he because he perfectly copies Riku. Mm-hmm. But there are times when discussing it, when I wrote it with its pronouns, because there's just so many male characters in Kingdom Hearts or especially Chain of Memories, that when this replica is talking to all those different guy characters, saying he's and hims for 3 different people, is fucking confusing. Yeah. So if you listen to the presentation and we're like, well, is it a him or an it? I just did the it thing to make it less confusing, and you would know that I'm talking about the replica and not Riku itself.
Yeah.
And himself. Oh my goodness. And then I also wanted to say that I tried describing it as like the replica of Riku.
Mm-hmm.
But the game will most likely refer to it as Riku Replica. And then fans very frequently use the coin termed Replica, which is just Replica Riku short.
Yeah.
So if you're a new Kingdom Hearts fan and you see this term in like a forum or on social media and you're like, what the fuck is that? They're just referring to this replica.
Mm-hmm.
Replica is just short for that. So
yeah.
Anyway.
So I wanted to start with kind of discussing its creation. And as you already said, this is kind of a concept that we haven't seen yet in Kingdom Hearts. It gets a little science-y in here. And like Kingdom Hearts 1 like definitely dabbled in science with all of the Ansem reports, you know, if you read them when you were playing. You know, I didn't when I was a kid, you know. But this is kind of straight up, we literally have a mad scientist on the cast here. Like showing us his, you know, mad creations or whatever. And they start using the term data, which is definitely like in this situation, it can be read in a couple different ways. Me and Mel were talking about it before we started recording. I think a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans, especially nowadays, I won't go into much detail, but like see the word data and think of it as like computer digital data. But I feel in this situation, we feel in this situation that it's more of like an observational, like, you know, scientist going out into a prairie to study birds type data.
Are you gonna kill me if I reference Skinwalker Ranch? I know. Them shooting rockets in the air to get data on the atmosphere. Yeah. It's like that.
Yeah, so it's just like, I wanted to just kind of point it out because this is not the first or I mean, this might be the first, but it won't be the last time we hear about data. And I just kind of want to put people in the mindset of like, data in the Kingdom Hearts universe really sometimes doesn't work in the same way it does IRL. It's a little more fantastical, scientific, I don't know, however you want to put it. But just like, I don't know, pay attention to it. I don't know. What do you have to say, Mel? Do you have anything to say to that?
No, yeah, absolutely. I think you have to like, sometimes with Kingdom Hearts, as, you know, this is going to sound so stupid, but you have to think critically.
Yeah.
You have to be like, they're not talking, when they talk about taking Riku's data and making a replica of it, they're, you know, Riku's not fucking, what's that girl with that Pixel Perfect? Have you ever seen the movie Pixel Perfect?
No.
It's about this guy and his holographic girlfriend. It was like a Disney com or something. And, you know, Riku's not like that.
Yeah.
He's a real person. So when they're talking about data, they're just talking about like his proportions, his attitude, his structure, biological makeup or whatever, and just using that data to create the replica.
Even like the way you quoted that just now, they say it very literally. Like we took his data and we used the data to make something new. So it's just weird. It's this weird kind of malleable thing. And like, it's hard to kind of imagine, being able to make something that is so pixel perfect, so exactly the same as the original Riku, you know, without a computer. There's gotta be like, they 3D printed that bitch in the back of Castle Oblivion. Like, they are exactly the same. So
yeah, we don't even know where his fucking lab is, do we?
Yeah, it's not here. I mean, maybe it's here,
but we don't fucking see it.
Yeah, we don't see it. But yeah, it's just interesting. Just keep an open mind about data in general. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
But to kind of continue that thought, with Replica's creation, I had a question, and I think we dabbled on it just a touch in the script, and I think a couple other people had this same question about the Replica's heart. I'm, like, a little confused on, like, where did it come from? Like, was it part of the original body? Like, was Vexen able to literally create a heart? Because that, like, I think we separated back in the Kingdom Hearts 1 episodes that the body and the heart are two separate things. So, like, where did it come from? Was it only made whenever Naminé gave the body memories? What, like, was there, like, a foundation that she had to build on? It's interesting. Yeah. Do you have any insight on that?
I mean, like, when thinking about this, the first thing that came to my mind was back in Kingdom Hearts 1, when the weird kooky doctor from Nightmare Before Christmas tried to make his own heart from scratch.
Yeah.
But he was very literal. So he was like, he used like a frog for the pulse.
Yeah.
And then like a spider for the fear that hearts experience, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's like, as dumb as it sounds, I feel like that scene in Nightmare Before Christmas World in Kingdom Hearts 1 or Halloween Town or whatever, I feel like that's like the first time we've ever seen someone try to create a heart, right?
Yeah.
Like Ansem never did. And so it's definitely okay. So like we don't have any proof that this replica has his own heart. You know, I'm not gonna deny that. We never see it like leave his body. He doesn't like create a heartless or anything crazy like that. But because Chain of Memories is so early in this series, I feel like it's weird. I feel like in future Kingdom Hearts games, characters are no longer the vessel for the truth because characters are seen misunderstanding the situation or missing context for the situation that they're in. And so I know. But I feel like early in Kingdom Hearts, the characters are used for the exposition. So, and this is just my opinion. This isn't fact. I guess this is just how I interpret the series. But to me, like, Larxene saying, oh, Naminé broke his heart.
Yeah.
And the replica being like, where will my heart go when I die?
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of saying, like, he does have a heart. And also, like, when I think about the replica, because, you know, what comes with, is it real or fake? Does it really have a heart or not? Is, to me, it also, following that thought process, is the question, can it really feel or not? Or is it kind of just being like a robot and triggering AI to act out in certain ways or whatever?
Yeah.
But like the way the replica screams when Larxene was like, yeah, we're gonna remake your heart. Sorry, like, no biggie. Like, he was like devastated by that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's gotta be real.
Yeah.
Like, that's gotta be real.
Yeah, I put that as a discussion point. It's down towards the bottom, but
sorry.
It's fine. It's just, such a small detail, but Larxene knocks the replica on his ass, and like when they're talking about that in that scene, and then she starts walking toward him, and he starts scooting away out of fear, and it's just like, it's such a small touch, but like, he's scared of her. Like, she scared the fuck out of him. And that's why I agree with you. Like, it's interesting to look at this thing. Like, I feel like that would be hard to imitate. That would be a weird thing to do. That would be a weird animation to put in if he wasn't really feeling, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think he does have a heart, and I think they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Which, you know, that's why I think it's so important to have an episode just on this replica himself. Mm-hmm. Because I really do think it's the start of so many different topics that Kingdom Hearts dives really far into.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you think the discussion on this episode might be long, like, baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. You don't even know. And so that is something that I think the writing this has really made me, not that I ever disliked him, but it's made me really appreciate him and his role and what he does and what, because like you could argue if he has a character arc because he kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later for sure. Yeah.
Okay. But I still think he is an interesting character, and he really starts a lot of what Kingdom Hearts is known for today. Yeah. So I owe him a lot, you know? Mm-hmm. But anyway.
It all comes back to Replica.
It always does. Okay. Okay. So when writing this, my dumbass didn't really realize that Riku only meets the replica during times of its life when it knows that it's fake. Riku never meets the replica when it thinks it's Riku himself. So we never had that conversation of like, no, I'm the real Riku.
Yeah.
No, I'm the real Riku.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like that whole I, me, he says, but like in that situation, the replica knows that it's fake.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I don't think I ever really realized until diving back into this game for the podcast. So crazy.
Yeah. And like, thank God. Like if I know if I were presented with that situation, like an identical me walked up to me and was like, I'm the real one, I'd be like, fuck, maybe they are the real one.
This is what I do in my free time. Is sometimes I think to myself, like, okay, if I ever had a clone, how could I assure to my clone that I'm not against them? Like, how can, because that's always a story, you know, like your own clone turning against you. Like, how can I make sure that, like, we're together in this and that it's me and them versus the world, you know? Like, so it's just so funny that you said that.
Like, I would fully gaslight myself into believing I'm not the real one.
Sometimes I do like look at my hands and I'm like, wow, my hands, I'm real. I'm touching the world around me. Like,
we are experiencing life.
This is what Kingdom Hearts wants. This is what Kingdom Hearts wants you to do.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Anyway, so I once, in the presentation, we kind of mention how at one point, okay, so Sora and the replica are about to fight. The replica's about to kill Sora. Namine goes, stop, and the replica faints. And then a little bit later, Sora leaves to go fight Marluxia, and he leaves Namine to watch over the replica, which is on the floor like a ragdoll. Mm-hmm. So at one point, Marluxia sneaks in and takes away Namine and uses her as a shield so that Axel or Sora doesn't fight him. Or right? And so, but at some point, the replica comes in at the last second and saves Namine from Marluxia. And so, this is, at one point, this is when after the Riku kind of revives, this is when he realizes, like, yeah, I am a replica. Yeah. I don't remember being made, but I only remember Namine and Sora, but, like, I know that I'm not real. Yeah. And so, first of all, part of me wonders if, this isn't confirmed, we don't see this on screen, but when Marluxia is, like, dragging Namine away, I'm wondering if, like, she quickly gave him a memory to, like, revive him. Like, maybe, like, remember how to, like, move your fingers and move your body. So that
System
he can
reboot.
Kind of, like,
yeah.
System reboot. Yeah, that's such a good way to put it. And I wonder if that's what was able to kind of wake him up in time to rescue her. And then, I didn't write it right here, but I also wonder if when Riku was knocked out in that ragdoll state, if he was still able to, like, hear everything going on around him, because it's when he's a ragdoll that Larxene like, yeah, he was bogus, he wasn't real, like, haha. And I wonder if he could hear that, and that's what made him kind of know, like, oh, I'm fake. Oh, I'm not real. Ugh. You know, because other than that, we don't really have any other opportunity of when he could have learned he was fake. Almost like Axel did it off screen, but like
I guess
Axel
maybe
was fighting Marluxia, I think.
Yeah, maybe just the fact that he was able to be literally like turned off by Naminé possibly could lead him to that conclusion, but I think maybe you're right. That your explanation makes a little more sense to me.
But yours is too. I didn't think about it like that. Mm-hmm. Him being like, oh shit, like, you're right, like he turned him off. Yeah. And I guess he could have been like, oh, I fainted, but like, I don't know.
She said stop and then I was dead on the ground. So like, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. That's an interesting thing to think about. But I want to circle back to, I wrote it down here as Replica's identity crisis in all caps. Because as you said before, he really goes back and forth about how he feels about himself. At the very beginning, he's very insecure about being called fake. Like being called a fake. Fake should be destroyed, he says later. So I don't remember who he says that to exactly, but
I don't remember either, but I do remember him saying it.
I think it was to Riku. I don't remember. But to me, that's it. Like me looking at this from like a little bit of an outside perspective, looking at this in a character arc sort of perspective. It's very interesting to study his obsession with this word about being fake and what that means to him. Like, he's not a fake. He calls himself an impostor or something later. But, you know, fake, he doesn't feel that way. He feels that he is real but different, which is very interesting. He has a lot of pride in himself, at least at the beginning, before all the heart shenanigans happen. And also Vexen has a lot of pride in him. It's just very interesting to look at that and then, you know, watch everything he goes through. But then at the end, whenever, you know, all of the fight with Marluxia and everything, Sora says, Riku, and then the replica says, not Riku, I'm a fake. And he seems to be like okay with it. He seems to be very nonchalant about it. Yeah. And then he fights Riku after that. And he's like, I'm a phony. I'm a fake. I can't have you around. You know, I'll never be real with you around or whatever. So it's very back and forth, like you said. It's just interesting to kind of watch because like whenever we see the end of Sora's route, it seems like he's gone through this kind of complete character arc of like, you know, no, I wasn't a fake before. Oh, I am a fake, but I'm myself now later. But then with Riku, it's like different. I don't know. It's very interesting.
I almost wonder, so after the replica is like, not Riku, I'm a fake, but I'm okay with it. And then he walks off. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's when Axel gets him and retrieves him. And I wonder if Axel, because we talk about how Axel is really willing to like do the dirty work. Yeah. He's not afraid of moving around these pieces around him to do what he thinks needs to get done. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if he took this replica who was at this moment okay with himself and was like, but you're not real. Yeah. But you are nothing. Yeah. But I can make you real if you kill this guy I need you to kill. That will make you real. Yeah. And unfortunately, we don't see that on screen, so we don't know if that is what happened. Yeah. But part of me wonders that. Yeah. Part of me wonders that.
And like something that cements it even more to me that he's like, he has finished this character arc. Is he says to Sora, I don't have to be real to see how real your feelings are, which is like so nice of him to say and so like self-aware of him to say. Like, it's just very odd. So I think you're right. Something must have happened, or maybe just seeing Riku again, you know, reminding him of like his weird existence. Yeah.
Especially because when he is talking to Riku, he goes like, I thought I was okay. I thought I could handle it, but I'm still just empty inside. Yeah. And so, yeah, I guess maybe he just thought he was okay, and then he saw Riku and was like, no, actually, fuck this.
Fuck this. Seeing an old ex and being like, no, I'm not okay. I thought I was over you, but I'm not. And then just another observation. And I could be totally off base here. Tell me if you think you agree with me or not. I feel that Replica Riku is a lot more grandstandy and confrontational against Sora than Riku in Kingdom Hearts 1 ever was. Like, I think it might just be because Replica and Sora talk, I think, more in this than Riku and Sora did during the events of Kingdom Hearts 1. But maybe this comes back to the idea of, you know, puppets being able to have their own personality and feelings, because it feels like he's this more exaggerated, you know, version of Riku, who is even more grandstandy, even more cocky, you know, because he wants to fight all the time. And, like, I don't know, I didn't get this. I get different energy from Replica Riku than I did from Kingdom Hearts 1 Riku.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Know. Yes, I do. I do agree. And I might have wrote this as a response to an email that we're going to get to, but I'll just say it now because I don't remember which email I said it to.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I think that I feel like even when it was first made, it was ever so slightly different than the normal Riku, especially when Naminé reshapes his heart, because to me it seems like, you know, in the presentation I described the replica as like always being kind of snarky like Riku, but then when Naminé is the topic, the replica gets so touchy, so touchy that I feel like the real Riku gets a little touchy, but like he's very cool and calm and collected in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think about, like, even if Sora and Kairi, even if Maleficent is talking to Riku about Sora or Kairi, like, yeah, you can tell he's, like, hurt and confused, but I just, you know, I agree with you. I feel like the replica is just, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You don't love Naminé. You don't love me. You abandoned us, and now I'm gonna run away for the 4th time. Fuck you. You know, like
yeah. I don't know.
I just think characters should say the word fuck in this series. But whatever.
You let Riku say fuck. He deserves it. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you agree with me because I was getting that vibe for sure.
Yeah, I do. I feel like almost even before Naminé, because like even before Naminé gives it memories of her, I feel like, I don't know if maybe it almost feels like it has the person, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but to me it seems like it has the personality of Riku before Riku leaves the island. Because when Riku first leaves the island, he seems like, you know, he's always kind of playing around with Sora, like, oh, I'm the only one working on the raft.
Yeah.
You know, he still seems really cocky. He's the strongest fighter on the beach.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's beaten him.
Yeah.
And the replica seems really kind of arrogant and cocky like that. Almost like careless.
Yeah.
But then when Naminé inserts herself in his memories, that to me is when there's like still that major shift. But I feel like either way, it's not exactly like how Riku acts throughout Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's a little different, which to me, I think my point that I'm trying to get to is, to me, that goes to show that it has a heart.
Yeah.
That it's still acting on its own and not completely copying Riku from, you know, Black and White or whatever.
Yeah. It's acting on its own. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we got a few emails. We got a lot of questions for this one. A few of them are a little long, but that's okay. We love it when you guys write long emails and tell us everything you think. So this first one is from Johan. Thank you, Johan, for your email. We all know how things went for Riku Replica. after his first encounter with Riku. So I wonder how would have things went if Replica got to encounter Sora with his original memories intact without any Naminé tampering whatsoever. What do any of you think?
Would you like me to answer immediately, or would you like to say your own?
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I feel like, so like I said before, the Replica before Naminé's memory seems really carefree and arrogant and cocky.
Yeah.
And so I think that it seems like, you know, at one point when the Replica is talking to Riku, it's like, no, I'm not you. I'm fucking better, bitch.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it would have that same attitude with Sora and be like, no, I'm not your friend. I'm the better, stronger, hotter version. So that's what I think he would have done. I really do. I really do.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I also think doing that would have clued Sora into something being weird. Like with memories. Totally. Like, oh, there's an exact clone of Riku standing in front of me, but it's not actually him. Okay, something's fucky with this castle. Yeah. And maybe I shouldn't, you know, maybe I'm being gaslit in real time.
Totally.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things that I kind of call back on a lot, where it's like, you know, that wouldn't really serve the story or the game. This is a little bit of a tangent, but like, it just reminds me of, have you seen the movie Passengers? It's with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence.
No, but I've seen YouTube videos about
That's literally what I'm about to talk about. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this video, but like, that movie like came out as like a sci-fi kind of, not really thriller, I think just more of a drama, but it could have been really good if like they made choices serving the story better than the script did, than the final product did. Of like, basically the story, I'm going on a tangent, I'm so sorry. But like, basically the story is like, oh, they're sending people, I haven't even seen the movie, I just watched a video on it. They're sending people to the future, like 200 years in the future. They have to sleep in cryo sleep for like 200 years or whatever. And the story is that one guy's pod malfunctions and he wakes up and he's trying to fill his time, and then he makes the horrible choice to wake someone else up so he's not lonely. And basically the story takes place from his point of view. And people have analyzed the movie being like, oh, this movie could have been so much better if it took place from her point of view, where she just randomly woke up one day and there's this other guy who's awake and nobody else is. And it could have been a cool, like, thriller horror movie. Because, you know, like, that would have been a much better route to take to serve the story. So, I don't know. This just reminded me of that. Like, it would just remove all suspense that happens in Chain of Memories if, you know, Sora interacted with Riku Replica as he was.
I think that's why some of the scenes that expand upon Sora's route are only shown in Riku's route. Yeah. It's that kind of control of information. Yeah. And things are more intense when you don't have the context of what's going on. Yeah. So, yeah, I completely agree with you about, you know, there's a reason why Sora believes that this is really Riku. Like, Riku, why are you here in the castle? Why are you so fucking mad at Sora when he literally, like, just wants you to come home? Yeah. You know, so without all that context, it really ups the stakes.
Yeah. So just like, it's fun to imagine scenarios like this. And like, I think that would be fun to explore in like fan fiction or, you know, a video essay if you want to talk about that sort of thing. But it would really, like, choices like that, you do have to take the story into account. You have to take the game into account of like, they're making, you know, they're not making just, you know, books of lore for you to read. They're trying to tell stories that are interesting and engaging.
So true. I think that's why, as, you know, being such the Kingdom Hearts lore nerd that I am, like, you will not catch me. And I don't mean to drag other people who do this. This is just how I enjoy Kingdom Hearts and how I like to spend my time enjoying media. But you will not catch me reading the wiki. I'm not interested in learning about a character by reading paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Like, I know that I know a lot of information about Kingdom Hearts, but what got me into the series is the characters and the way that they are driven and the way that they find out things about themselves that they didn't know in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that is what always makes a Kingdom Hearts game so strong, is when the character knows so little in the beginning, and like every Disney world that they come across, the world that they're in gets bigger and messier and messier. That's what I love. Yeah.
Speaking of the Kingdom Hearts wiki, I one time made a semi-viral Kingdom Hearts tweet. This was like years ago, and it was like a meme format that was popular at the time, and I literally just copy and pasted text straight from the wiki that was pretty like well-known information, and people in my replies still got mad at me, and I was like, for like getting information wrong, and I was like, listen, I took this straight from the wiki, take it up with them or like become an editor.
I will say, so I will say I was looking up Riku. See, I already learned my lesson, because I was like, there was something I didn't know about the replica, so I was like, I don't have time to like scroll through cutscenes. Like, does the wiki have the information I need? And then reading the wiki, I was like, that's not true. Like, that's really not true. There's some page of some Kingdom Hearts wiki that says the first time that you only fight the replica Riku, like the last time you meet him. But that's not true. You fight the replica every single time Sora meets the replica, you fight him.
Ooh.
And so I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like, I know something about Chain of Memories somebody else
that
doesn't
the wiki
know.
does it, yeah. Interesting. Mel, that's how you should fill all of your extra time, is you should become a Kingdom Hearts wiki editor because of all the time that you have.
God. So our Adrian sent an email. Thank you, Adrian. Adrian asked a few questions. We'll get to the second and the third one. I hope that's okay. So Adrian asked, it could be said that Replica has two sets of memories. One he was created with, and one that Naminé created for him to pretend to be the original Riku. What set of memories do you think Replica has after Naminé shattered his heart? The one Naminé constructed, or a combination of the two? Okay, so this is when earlier in the discussion, I was like, I think I talked about this to an email, but I'm not sure. Okay, so my theory is that after the replica is kind of awake from Naminé knocking it out, is that while he was incapacitated, he heard everything by Larxene. So he only remembers what's fake, but now he knows it's not true, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I personally don't really think he has two sets of memories. I think he has only what the fake stuff he remembers, even though logically, I don't know, what are the two words?
Either
he's like, I know this is what I remember, but I know it's not true. So I think he only has like one set of memories, but maybe that's just my own interpretation of the story, you know.
I think that makes sense to me. Now, what shattering his heart entails is just another thing to think about.
Yeah.
Wild.
You know, it comes back to like what I was saying earlier about how Chain of Memories is so early in the story that like our character's always right about what they're talking about. But I guess in this situation, I don't necessarily know if I agree with Larxene saying Naminé shattered his heart, because he still has all the memories he had before. You know, I think he just maybe like, you know, I use the term incapacitated him. Mm-hmm. I don't really think, I guess, you know, like, sorry, Larxene, but like, I guess I just don't think Naminé shattered his heart.
Yeah.
Because it seems pretty fucking fine a little bit later, you know, so.
True.
That's what I think.
True. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. Adrian's next question. Why do you think Replica was so hung up on being the real Riku after Sora's story ends? I always found it sad that he didn't try and see who he could be and fixated on not being able to escape Riku's shadow. We already talked about this a little bit, but...
Okay, so if you are, so I talked before about how I wonder if Axel got to him and was like, you know, kill Zexion and then you can really be real.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are an experienced Kingdom Hearts fan, read my mind, telepathically read my mind, because I wonder if somebody else talked to the replica and was like, you can be real, I can make you real, just do this, do what I have to say, and I can make you real. Are you reading my mind, Hannah?
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway, I hope any fan who thinks, is Mel talking about this? That hopefully we are on the same page. And if we're not at the same page, then, you know, maybe one day in the future we can come back to this and kind of talk about it a little more.
Yeah.
You know, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, so hi, Logan. We got a question from Logan.
Hi, Logan.
And there was a part, Hannah, that I did kind of want to address.
Okay, go for it.
Because I guess I just have a different opinion than what Logan has.
Okay.
So Logan writes, in regards to Replica, is this heart actually real or not? Which we have kind of been talking about on and off. But Logan asks, when he's first introduced to Sora, he's unaware that he's a replica. I always just kind of assumed he was more or less a robot, programmed to think and act like Riku based off the data Vexen was able to gather from the real Riku's memories, therefore his heart would just be code. However, after he is reprogrammed and made aware of his existence as a replica, and thus given the ability to formulate thoughts and an identity of his own, it seems like his fake heart starts to develop into a real one. And then he continues on, Logan continues on a little later. After all, we know that a non-living body or puppet can gain a heart, just as evidenced by Pinocchio in Kingdom Hearts 1, which we also talked about. So I don't see why Replica then wouldn't have a real, albeit fledgling, heart of his own. Okay, so at one point Logan says, I think, I could be wrong, but I think Logan is at one point referring to the scene of after Riku revives from Naminé's attack. But like we talked about, I don't think that he had a fake heart and then it grew into a real one. I think he's always had a real heart, but I guess it just kind of depends on like, it's kind of weird because it's like, okay, so let's say Vexen has like the base of some replica, like a clean slate, no data inserted. And then Vexen inserts the data and then like the replica forms into Riku or whatever. And it's like, is the heart born right then? You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, I guess I can't really say like when I think it starts to have a heart, but I guess I personally think it's just had a heart for a much longer time than I guess some fans think.
Yeah. It's that brings us back to like one of my original questions of like, where did this heart come from? Like, was Vexen able to make one? Did it come with the body and then it just needed memories imprinted on it? Or did it like, you know, to use the term, grow from the memories? So it's just, yeah. Yeah,
it's weird, especially because it kind of reminds me of how when Marluxia says that if you have all your memories destroyed, then you're just going to be an empty shell. You're not going to be able to feel anything. You'll just kind of, you know, he made it. It reminds me of how Kairi was in Kingdom Hearts 1 when her heart wasn't in her body. And so, we don't really, you would think that the replica would behave like that. And then maybe start like slowly moving.
Yeah.
But it's weird how we just never see that. And I wished we could see its creation. Because I think that would answer so many questions that we have. And then Logan continues on. My question then becomes the same as the replica's. What happens to his heart when he dies? Just like how we don't see when the replica is made, we also just don't know anything about where hearts go. We don't know anything about like the afterlife, We don't know anything, if there even is an afterlife. I will say that, so Logan in his question, I think misunderstood what Riku said. And I think Logan thinks that Riku was like, when you die, your heart will join with mine. And like, maybe he says that in the Japanese, but in the English, he says your heart will go to the same place that mine will go to. And so like, if they're kind of just being like poetic and thinking about afterlife for the comfort of it all, then maybe their hearts will go to the same place. But, you know, unfortunately, we can't really discuss what happens to this replica and what happens to his heart, because we don't really know that much about death in Kingdom Hearts in general, other than like, I don't know, maybe normal people die. Maybe not just because like you turn into a heartless. Maybe that's not the same thing as death.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Itself, we don't know that much about.
Is like turning into a heartless considered dying? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just, again, we've come across one of those things where it's like, it doesn't happen on screen, so we don't know how to answer it.
Yeah. And I feel like some fans are like, oh, can't you just like entertain the thought a little? Like, it makes me sad when you like brush things off, but it's like, what are we supposed to say?
Yeah.
I don't want to make shit up. And like, because, you know, the whole point of our podcast together is that we're trying to walk through people what Kingdom Hearts is, not what it could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got for today. Mel, unless you have anything else you want to hit on?
No, I feel like I've talked about this interesting character enough as it is.
Yeah, for 1,000 years. Okay, well, what are we going to talk about next week?
Next week, we're finally going to talk about Diz.
Diz!
Yeah, so we're finally going to get to him. I don't know how long that episode can be because he's so mysterious.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about him at least a little because he's so interesting.
He's weird old man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you have any questions at all about Diz, send them to sheddingstarlight@gmail.com.
Yes. And thank you everybody who always sends emails. We really do appreciate it. Even if we can't answer all of them, maybe we can't answer you at all, unfortunately, for whatever reason. We do read them and we do appreciate them. Thank you.
Yeah, we do have a couple of repeat people who send in questions every week, and that's really great. I love that. We are kissing you through your headphones.
On your forehead.
So yeah, if you enjoy the show, or this episode in particular, please feel free to reach out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give us a little 5-star review. If you're
5 stars, baby.
5 stars, baby. We got a clean record right now. I don't think we've ever gotten anything under a 5. So let's keep that record clean.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like the video. Feel free to turn on notifications. And if you love a podcast, tell your friends about it. That's the number one way podcast growth happens, is through word of mouth. So if you have Kingdom Hearts friends, which I know you do, if you have friends that want to play Kingdom Hearts, I know you want them to play Kingdom Hearts because everyone has that friend.
That's true. And if you think to yourself, I don't have any friends like that, you are that friend.
Yeah, tell them about the show. Tell them that you love us, and tell them where to find us, and send them a link, and do all that good stuff. And
thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's it. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the Starlight.